So then here's what you do. You can have some fast forward. So you stand over here for a second, and then we do this for a second, and then you need to insist that we change places.
Hello everyone, this is Marjorie Wildcraft, and today I'm with Paul Bunyan. Paul, I don't think this is working. We gotta switch.
Okay. All right. Yeah, there we go. So you need to do something to insist that you're gonna, like, you direct me.
Okay.
Physically, with your hands.
I'm with the legend Paul Wheaton in Montana, way in my farther north of my range. I promise you. I've been touring Paul's. He's got a plot for world domination, and the first thing he realized he needed was he would like to be warm when he was doing it. And he's been building and doing all these crazy experiments, and he's got a lot of really, really useful tips and techniques and ways to stay warm in a really cold place. I mean, we're in Montana, right? So, Paul, why don't you tell them his rocket stove, and Paul has a rocket stove video set that I think is pretty neat. Why don't you tell them a little bit about it? So,
I call it Wood Burning Stoves 2.0. And it's an exploration of rocket stoves, rocket mass heaters, pocket rockets, and the like. We've got a 4 DVD set. It's available at stoves2.com. Are you going to have it out at your website?
Probably.
Okay, all right. And
we'll have a link.
I think the big thing is that most people that switch from a conventional wood stove to a rocket mass heater can heat their homes with about 1/10 the wood. And so you would think it would be 1/10 the smoke, but since it uses the smoke as a fuel also, it's typically 1/100th to 1/1000th the smoke.
Now, if I build one of these things, am I going to have to be an expert welder or something like that? I mean, could I build this thing?
You could definitely build these. You don't have to weld anything. People are usually building these out of duct parts they're able to pick up. Just ducts that's used for housing, for air circulation. And cob. I mean, it's like if you've got a source for some clay and some sand, we do here. We don't have to bring anything in, but some people bring in either the clay or the sand, and they got the other out in their dirt. Then you can shape these up rather nicely.
Wow.
And a little bit of duct, some bricks sometimes, and usually people use an old 55-gallon steel drum. But you don't have to use that. I've seen people fabricate something, like buy something that was welded for them. That's very pretty. But most people I've seen use the drum.
Now, Paul, you were showing me this teepee, and we're going to get the footage of the teepee in here.
Okay.
And this is a teepee. Now, you've built an earth berm around it, so it's got some solar collection there. But the only thing that kept this thing warm with an external source was one of these rocket stoves. And you said there was a couple that lived in there all winter here in Montana, and it got down to
26 below.
And did they wake up with frostbite?
No, the fire went out at about 9:30. And since it's
9:30 in the morning, or
9:30 in the evening.
Okay.
9:30 in the evening, and they went to bed. The fire went out, and they slept on the mass. So the mass had been warmed, and so the fire went out. They stayed warm all night. They did not know it was 26 below outside. They got up, and they're in a teepee, and they got dressed for the day. And when they got down here, when they got outside, they realized it's very cold outside. And then when they came down here for the day, then we said, wow, it was 26 below last night. How'd you guys do? And so then they said that they felt like the space was about 50 degrees when they got dressed.
So they were actually pretty comfortable. Now, when you say below, you're meaning 26 degrees below zero, right?
26 below zero. Fahrenheit.
Yeah, now I'm from Florida. It took me a long time to realize that below zero was like really down there.
So it got freezing at 32.
Right, yeah, right.
And you don't have much of that in Florida.
None of that, yeah, right. And in Texas, we don't get that too bad anymore anyway. So that's and so this video set will show somebody exactly how to build one of the things, all the principles behind it.
We do a lot of discussion about what it is that we're building and why. The first video is called Fire Science, and it's about trying to understand the way fire works. And there's a lot of things that fire will do that's different than you might think. And with a rocket mass heater, typically you put the sticks in vertically, and then the fire burns sideways. And you would think that the fire would burn up and that your house would fill with smoke. But the sticks are exposed here, fire burns sideways, and it goes up like a micro chimney, a super insulated chimney. We call it the heat riser. And in a conventional wood stove, what you try to do is get the heat to come out immediately. With a rocket mass heater, we don't do that. The first thing we try to do is insulate the fire and make the fire hotter. We're trying to push for 3,000 degrees, whereas your conventional wood stove usually caps out at about 600, maybe 800 degrees.
Right.
And then it uses 300 to 600 degrees to push the smoke out the chimney. Well, we burn the smoke, and we try to capture every bit of heat before allowing the exhaust outside. And so instead of 300 to 600 degrees going outside, we have typically about 70 to 100 degrees going outside.
Wow. So this is really a pretty amazing technology that could be used anywhere, really. I mean, if you're using it in a teepee, you could use it in a mobile home or a cabin or almost anywhere, right? There's not a fire issue, or I guess just like a regular wood-burning stove.
I would say the fire issue is going to be about the same as any other wood-burning stove.
Yeah.
And I think anytime you're playing with anything hot, I mean, even if you're going to have hot water in your home, it's possible you could get scalded.
That's true.
And so if you've got a stove in your home, it's possible to get burned as you're cooking your oatmeal. And it's like there's a lot to be said that's very similar to this. There's ways for you to burn yourself, but you're burning less wood than you are with a conventional wood stove. So the risk is reduced proportionally.
And now you were saying, I was asking Paul, like, what is the purpose of this whole laboratory and all the projects you're doing here? And other than Paul having world domination, of course. But you were saying that fuel, what you were trying to do is avoid war, which I thought, well, now here's a big leap. Let's go through this leap. Can you take people through this leap of how we're going to avoid war by using a rocket mass heater?
Well, I mean, you think about it. If there's a war going on and you wish to say, I'd rather that my tax money didn't go to that, or I don't like the fact that there's war going on, I wish it wasn't going on. The protesting thing does have an effect, but it's not a very large effect. In the meantime, most war is about energy. And so with the rocket mass heater, if enough people in the United States converted over to it, it could cut 25 to 50% of our home energy uses.
And you were saying most of our energy use in the United States is for heating of spaces, homes, and
more than 50% of the home energy use is for heat.
that's for heat.
Yeah.
So we could really significantly reduce that amount of energy use just with this technology.
Right. If you can heat your home with nothing but the branches that naturally fall off your trees, I mean, you're not even, I mean, some people right now, they're heating their house with wood and they got to buy a four-wheel drive pickup and a chainsaw and go out to Forest Service land and hack up a tree and do that 10 times, and now you're set for the winter. Whereas this is more like, I mean, the amount of wood is so small. There's
just some limbing.
People are heating their home with nothing but the branches that naturally fall off the trees in their yard.
Yeah. And you were saying one guy made it through a whole winter with just his junk,
with just junk mail.
Junk mail. That is a good use for junk mail, I would have to say.
I kind of wonder if that guy might have been like provoking the mailing list. Like, oh, hey, send me a catalog, you know? Send me 5, you know, or something like that. Put me on your mailing list.
Well, he got it through with junk mail. That's a lot to be said. Well, Paul, you're almost convincing me to spend a winter out here to try this out, but not quite. But, all right, y'all, Paul Wheaton. This is Marjorie Wildcraft, and we'll see you on another video.